Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the grand final of the Major League Gaming 2010 Pro League Circuit in Raleigh, North Carolina. Grand finals of the StarCraft 2 tournament. HuK against Kiwikaki, some more PvP action, and it's all Canada all the time.
Indeed, this is what a surprise here to see. First, two Protoss players.
Yeah.
Two Canadian players. I'm not saying.
Not that that's surprising.
Indeed, indeed. But Canada, I mean.
Two of them, both of them, and Protosses, and you know, everyone's always talking about how Terran seems to be overpowered. I mean, recently there was even a tournament where in the top 8, no Protosses, and there were nothing but Terran versus Zergs, but here, going to have some huge PvP action. It's going to be a big clash of styles.
Yeah, and really, if you look at the two players, I mean, Kiwikaki, in the winners the entire time, lost to HuK in the winter finals, and now he's up against HuK again.
He's back in the finals.
He's back in the finals. I mean, what a showing really from Kiwikaki coming in. I mean, a lot of people probably didn't expect him to go this far. But if you've actually watched him online, you definitely know how good of a player he is. And if you didn't, you know how good of a player he is now after watching him this weekend.
What I love so much about Kiwikaki is that he's not a very loud personality online. There's a lot of people who do a lot of self-love regularly, you know, just like, oh, I'm so good, and they'll post, you know, replays of them winning.
Right.
But then when it comes down to the actual tournaments, they'll crumble, they'll fall. But Kiwikaki was so pleasant. He was all smiley and happy, and he'd sit down just gently, just massage the keyboard. I mean, seriously, he is the most calm hands I've ever seen. A lot of people get jittery, kind of tweak it up a little bit, but not Kiwikaki. Super, super, super calm, super controlled.
And if you look at HuK, I mean, last weekend he didn't do too well at that tournament, and now he's in the grand finals. It took 1 week for him to completely change up his attitude, and now he's in here, MLG Raleigh 2010 grand finals. I mean, what a champion.
It is one of those things where you do have to have the LAN experience. You need to know how to do what you want to do, and that sounds so silly, but for some reason people tend to tweak out when they go to live events. You'll get the player who ladders and plays solid straight up games every single time, but then when he gets under pressure, he's 1 game away from being eliminated, and he'll just try to cheese to win, and it'll fail, and he will weep bitterly.
All right, so it looks like we are going to be waiting on HuK right now to go ahead and join the lobby. And then, Sean, we're going to be getting started here in the grand finals of PvP between HuK and Kiwikaki. I cannot wait.
I mean, you can't see this, but off camera, I'm rubbing my tummy because Protoss vs. Protoss tastes so good. Now, here's the thing about Kiwikaki's style. He has amazing, amazing early game micro. So good. And he does these insane, very aggressive openings where he'll put a pylon nearby the edge of your ramp, and he'll move up with Stalkers and Zealots, and then he'll just warp 4 Zealots directly into your base. He's great at busting the ramp, and really controlling the ramp is one of those things that you take for granted way too often in matchups.
Indeed. Now, HuK, is it safe to say the master of 4-gating? Is that something that you could pin to HuK?
No, I'd give that to Kiwikaki. I'd say HuK is the master of 1-basing. He loves getting those robo-base fast. That's actually the only way I think he was going to be able to hold off those 4-gate pushes that Kiwikaki did in the winner's bracket final. And oh my God, was it close. I mean, in those games, the Immortals popped out just in time. And even then, after losing 2 or 3, HuK was still barely hanging on.
We definitely had our friends HD and Husky casting that stuff. And now let's do a little bit of love to all the communities out there who have turned in all weekend long. Starting off first, why don't you
just why don't you get that left side of my jacket for me? TeamLiquid.net, ladies and gentlemen, that's right, TeamLiquid.net. I have been a member since 2003, way back when I was a fetus that played StarCraft. Oh my God, they are just the most warm, wonderful community.
Not fetuses, the community.
That's right, that's not a community for fetuses. It's a community for StarCraft 2 fans themselves, and seriously, you'll never meet a warmer community ever. I mean, so often on the internet, people from the internet are just sad, angry people. Everyone on TeamLiquid.net is very happy and pleasant, so big love to them.
Indeed, and also we do have the crew from Reddit.com also in the gaming section and the StarCraft section. Both sections have been supporting all weekend long, and a big shout out to Slasher for actually getting those posts up on that site.
Absolutely, yeah, and big shout out for Slasher for helping to provide the troll face. Is there any chance I could borrow that really fast? Yes. That's right, I'm going to be showing that good old one. Every time I say, isn't the Archon just the best unit in the game? That's right, don't make an Archon. So, one thing to note about, I don't remember what we were talking about. Oh yeah, we're thanking people. Keep going, JP, you're doing great.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks for putting me on the spot, Sean. But of course, Going to some of the other communities, we do have Gosu. Is I got to remember the name out there. Wow.
GosuGamers.net.
GosuGamers.com.
GosuGamers.net, of course, great community. They always .net, whatever. Gosu something. GosuGamers.net. Love their site. Regularly have huge news posts. Very, very, very regular about updating their site, updating their content. Always hosting great events like the Europe vs. Asia show match series, which I shoutcasted with the illustrious Sexy Greetorp, who was out there. So yeah, and of course MLGpro.com, gotfrag.com. You can get all the resources that you need regarding this tournament, regarding all the brackets and all the MLG action there.
And one last thing, if you are not quite satisfied with your stream quality right now and you have not purchased MLG HD, definitely purchase that right now. $10, you can catch the grand finals here in crisp, clean HD. And I mean, you can put that on a TV. Marvelous, Sean. Marvelous.
I know, seriously. And what's great about that is even if you full screened it in 1080p, because again, it's a 1600 bitrate stream, it's great, you wouldn't see a single blemish because of this makeup. Seriously, you can even investigate. Pay $10 to try to check. I actually am objectively pretty today.
All right, son.
So it looks like our first map is going to be Steps of War. That's going to be a very aggressive first map. I think in Protoss vs. Protoss, people largely tend to avoid expanding because of how tense it is at the opening stages of the game, and Steps of War is going to delay that even further.
Steps of War is one of the smallest maps in StarCraft 2. A 2-player map, players spawn at the 2 and 7 o'clock positions. Right outside the main bases is a natural expansion. Destructible rocks blocked another expansion, and at the 12 and 6 o'clock positions you can find high-yield minerals. Watchtowers can be found on either side of the large open field, and brush can sometimes be used to hide enemy forces until it is too late. Expect to see heavy aggression in the beginning of the match, no matter what the matchup. As with short distances come short unit travel times.
And we are about to go into Game 1 of HuK against Kiwikaki. Give a cheer for anyone who is Canadian.
And Sean, I got a question to ask. How excited are you for the grand finals here, Game 1 on Steps of War?
I am pumped for this series. We have HuK in the top right as the red Protoss, and in the bottom left we got Kiwikaki as the blue Protoss. HuK, of course, is red. He is favored in this matchup because he is doing what we call playing an extended series. This is a best of 7 where HuK is beginning with a 2-1 score because that was their result from the winner's bracket.
So that means that HuK actually has to win 2 games, and he is the grand champion, and Kiwikaki does have to end up winning 3.
I always just love that general philosophy of you want the better player to have more chances to win at MLG. I mean, that's what we've seen time again with the double elimination bracket, with the best of 3 in every single round, even in the loser's bracket, and of course with these extended series. And HuK looks like he's planting his first pylon very close to his nexus, doesn't want to be able to lose to any sort of early aggression, wants to have all those buildings tightly placed. Look at Kiwikaki scouting his whole base out to check for any sort of proxies.
Yeah, Kiwikaki does have his pylon a little bit farther away from his nexus. There goes that gateway going down for Kiwikaki. HuK getting his gateway possibly on 13 a tad bit later than Kiwikaki.
But of course HuK loves this early harassment. This might look silly to have him attacking this pylon, but with only 200 life, as we can see, he's already eliminated half the shields there, and HuK also trying to scoot around, do as much damage as he can to try to block that cybernetics core that's inevitably coming.
Yeah, it looks like HuK is thinking about leaving that pylon. He did go ahead and go back to it with the probe. Now, no players have. There goes gas for HuK, and actually gas started just recently as well for Kiwikaki. So I'm thinking we're going to see some cybernetics core instead of any like 3-gate opener zealot cheese.
Yeah, I mean, you do see 2-gate quite often on this map. No reason to do that if you want to go to the later stages of the game. And it looks like HuK will have to retreat right now, trying to do a little bit of shift queuing to pull back. Gas steals are very popular on this map. It is 2-player. It looks like Kiwikaki, getting in position 2, but no. Looks like both players want to get the buildings like the cybernetics core and their own pylons up fast. And ooh, this is interesting, a zealot before core.
Yeah, Kiwikaki does have 1 zealot out. Looks like the zealot from HuK is being chrono boosted as well, about halfway complete. And there goes the cybernetics core going down for HuK, and no cybernetics core thrown down right now by Kiwikaki.
And there's the gas going down by Kiwikaki. Is a gas steal right there. That's going to be huge. It shuts down so many possibilities for HuK, and the reverse gas steal I guess this is what you call a mirror build, but I mean, very, very interesting little exchange. And of course, the two Zealots wailing away at each other, and HuK does the smart thing, takes out the probe, and he's going to have to pull back to retreat. Nice little advantage there, having that Zealot down at such low health.
Yeah, Kiwikaki maybe forgetting the fact that that probe was taking damage there, maybe looking at that gas steal in his base, trying to figure out exactly what he wants to do. Cybernetics Core going down for Kiwikaki there in his main, and Kiwikaki actually, did he get a kill on a probe there?
I can't, it looks like he has one kill with that Zealot, and that's what Kiwikaki is known for, that early game micro. HuK having a few idle probes, but managing to get those back en route as usual, and it looks like he's still trying to chase these Zealots around, but he has a weakened Zealot. He has to be careful to keep that alive, and Kiwikaki being so aggressive. This looks so much like StarCraft 1 PvP, taking out another probe, and will he be able to get us another probe? No, he is having to pull back. Stalker coming out right now, and it looks like Kiwikaki doesn't mind at all. He's going to continue to be aggressive, and only just now has his Cyber Core finished.
Yeah, it looks like HuK is getting a Stalker out that's about to spawn on the map. He's also going to be chrono boosting that research of the Warp Gate, and actually Kiwikaki hasn't started fighting off on that assimilator there in his main. Looks like he's just going to go for some hard aggression right now.
I mean, this is a big risk for Kiwikaki. It could be very rewarding to kill off a lot of probes, as we can see in the income tab. Harvester count is even though, so not enough damage has been dealt. RoboBay going down for HuK. That's a very cheap building on the gas, so definitely a good choice for him, as he is still only on one geyser. And look at this, great control by HuK, just repelling this attack. Kiwikaki has units rallied to the front, but it is not going to be enough. That Stalker is so fast, he's going to lose all of these Zealots.
Yeah, it looks like Kiwikaki's actually going to try to fight and finish off one of those Zealots. Is he going to get this other one?
And he's trying to micro really well. He needs to shoot that weakened Zealot. Oh, and there's a very nice shot. Does manage to pick it off at the last second, but HuK is mostly concerned about this assimilator that is still alive in his base.
Both players have been on one gateway. HuK actually throwing down a second one right now, and here comes Kiwikaki adding on. Here's that 4-gate play that we were talking a little bit earlier.
4-gate play, and of course it looks like HuK has killed off that gas geyser, and Kiwikaki just never wants to stop attacking. And look, target firing the Stalkers, such an excellent play. The Stalkers are the fast units. You need to eliminate those. You can micro against everything else. The RoboBay hasn't done anything quite yet. HuK responding by getting gateways 2 and 3 down.
Yeah, and one thing to note is that we were so excited by all this harassment. HuK actually playing it cool and does have that robotics facility down, getting that Immortal. He's actually chasing away the Zealot and 2 Stalkers there in the middle of the map right now, and finishing off that Zealot with those 2 Stalkers.
HuK already coming out to a very nice lead, but of course Kiwikaki known for his insane Warp Gate aggression. Does he have his Warp Gate research just now finished? HuK is a little bit ahead, and the real issue is that HuK does have that Immortal coming out. It's going to completely deny a lot of these Stalkers, and Kiwikaki mounting up for a big push.
Yeah, a forward pylon by any Protoss user, especially when you have those 4 Warp Gates, really something to look out for if you're up against that.
And there we do have a lot of Stalkers being morphed in. Stalkers so good, so easy to micro at these early stages of the game. But HuK's coming down with an Immortal. Kiwikaki's going to have to pull back a lot. He has to be very defensive. He can't really risk being in the center too long with HuK pushing forward this aggressively.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to be falling back. Oh, the probe does fall there. Little snipe, kind of a laugh there as HuK finishes off that probe. And he actually falls back right now. Kiwikaki keeping the control right now of the map, going ahead and warping in 4 more Zealots right now. No sentries actually out by or for either player, so we aren't going to see any force fields on that ramp.
Now Kiwikaki loves building a pylon down here for an early bust, but it looks like he's just going right up the Immortal, not targeting any of the Zealots, but HuK has so many Zealots of his own, so he is doing a lot of damage at those front lines, and it looks like Kiwikaki wasn't able to bust in, but he still is being very aggressive.
And there goes that pylon that you were just talking about, going down right outside the ramp of HuK, and I love this control on those Zealots by Kiwikaki. He's making them take a lot of the damage and then moving them back, making those Zealots work for their shots. And here we go, another push up the ramp, and there's a nice force field. He's going to go ahead and finish off one of those Zealots and one of those Stalkers, and HuK is just going to simply pull back right now. Here comes some more reinforcements from Kiwikaki.
And this is such amazing play by Kiwikaki. He is still doing this all on one gas. It's those key Stalkers in the back and the Zealot reinforcements, and that is a lot of Zealots coming out right now for Kiwikaki, and there's the target fire on the Immortal. HuK is trying to pull it back, but it looks like Kiwikaki somehow is ahead in the unit count, and the Immortal goes down, pushing forward so aggressively, but Kiwikaki not going to play this dumb. He's pulling back, he's reinforcing, he's getting in a good position, and HuK is way on the back foot. He has one Colossus that is almost out, though.
Such great Stalker control there from Kiwikaki, allowed him to go and break that ramp. He's focusing down that pylon. He did get one. If he gets this other one, that's going to be 2 gateways unpowered, and here comes the Colossus.
And the Colossus is out. It is repelling, but 2 gateways down. These 2 gateways are not operational. Kiwikaki is going to try to win this with macro, and macro alone. That Colossus is a huge threat, but he has these fast Stalkers they can walk up. That Colossus is starting to lose life. It's taking main hull damage. It's in the orange, and it falls down. down.
it.
He gets the Colossus. HuK is now in an incredibly tough situation.
Yeah, here comes some more probes being pulled for HuK. This is going to be a very bad situation. Some awesome control from Kiwikaki to go ahead and finish off that Stalker. Actually going to kill a couple probes before doing it. There goes that Stalker down, and HuK is in a very, very bad spot right now.
Kiwikaki using insane micro and constant aggression from 4 gates to just keep pounding this defense, and good game. Kiwikaki wins game 1. Now again, this is an extended series. That does mean that it started 2-1 in favor of HuK, but Kiwikaki, by winning that, has tied the series up 2-2. So it is now just a regular good old best of 3 to see who will be crowned the champion.
And it looks like HuK will be choosing the next map. Definitely have asked him, and we'll be eagerly awaiting his response. He's going to think about it for a little bit, though, because looks like he's asking which maps are left in the map pool. So.
And then one thing that I think is so amazing about how Kiwikaki played that game is that he pretty much accepted that he was only going to be on one gas the entire game. Too often players get very, very flustered when they lose that initial geyser because their opponent steals it. And they try to do their original game plan. They try to bend their build back with this very late gas, and the end result is just a very, very, very slow game. But what we saw Kiwikaki do is just continue to pump out just Stalkers and Zealots, very, very gas cheap units. And in other words, that gas steal by HuK was just 75 wasted minerals entirely. And I cannot believe the amazing control by Kiwikaki. That was unbelievable how he was able to keep pushing up, keep getting more units, and somehow broke the front.
And it looks like HuK has decided on Delta Quadrant for the next map. Now, Delta Quadrant, one of the new maps in StarCraft 2 here since the release of StarCraft 2. So we are going to be hosting that up, and we are going to be going to a map preview right now.
Delta Quadrant is one of the 2 new maps released at the launch of StarCraft 2 that we have here at MLG Raleigh. It is a 4-player map with spawn points at the 11, 2, 5, and 7 o'clock positions. Natural expansions can be found outside the main bases, towards the middle, with another expansion blocked by destructible rocks down a different ramp from the main. Cliffs behind this expansion make for a great harassment spot. 4 high-yield minerals exist on this map down another ramp to the right and left of the natural expansion. A lone Xel'Naga watchtower sits in the middle of this map.
And here we are going directly into Game 2 of the Grand Finals. Again, this is an extended series, so we are currently tied at 2-2. Whoever wins the next 2 games will be crowned the champion and get that $2,500 first place prize.
All right, so Delta Quadrant, again, like I was saying earlier, one of the new maps. What strikes you is the most important thing on this map in the PvP matchup?
Well, we have HuK spawning in the bottom right as the red Protoss. In the bottom left, we have Kiwikaki as the blue Protoss. And I think the most important feature is this backdoor expansion right here where the destructible rocks are. What makes it a little bit weird is that most players will one base, or in other words, they will rely on this one ramp to keep themselves alive, doing whatever they want to do. So with that backdoor expansions, it opens up some possibilities for Protosses to just use force fields to stay alive and eventually get a very, very fast early expansion, something we don't see too much in PvP.
And one of the other things that I really like about this map is a lot of the Protoss players have been utilizing this fact with the destructible rocks at those expansions. If you put a pylon on the outside of the base, you can in fact warp units onto the other side of that building right there.
Yeah, this is an excellent place to place a pylon, and wouldn't be surprised if Kiwikaki tried to pull that one off. We've seen again and again his Stalker Zealot pushing is brutal, and he's able to break seemingly impenetrable defenses with having pylons warp into the opponent's main, and exactly what you pointed out is one of those locations. Kiwikaki and HuK both seem to just be continuing to chrono boost. HuK, interestingly, did a cross map scout, but now that he's found his opponent is not at the top left position, it looks like he is going to the correct location in the bottom left.
There goes the 13 gate going down for HuK. Kiwikaki is going to be going for a 14 gate. Not too much of a difference, but pretty much, I mean, every little minute detail counts here in StarCraft 2.
Yeah, Kiwikaki being very responsible about chrono boosting a lot. Already under 20 energy, can't even chrono boost again. HuK continuing to chrono boost himself, getting also a late gas. Looks like it's going to be a 15 gas. Now, HuK has shown a lot of versatility. He used to just be the player who would only ever chrono boost probes and only ever try to get a big economy in the early game. It does look like he is doing something similar to that this game, but we've seen him suddenly be a lot more aggressive in this tournament and take some amazing wins.
Looks like Kiwikaki had an idle probe there for just a second, but he went ahead and put it back to work, putting probes back into that assimilator and a quick gas.
Kiwikaki stealing the gas of his opponent and taking his own second gas, so this is going to be a big deviation already in the early game.
There's not going to be any counter gas stealing here in this match like we saw in the last one. We do have no units actually coming out of that Go 8. Cybernetics core has gone down for Kiwikaki, and HuK doing the exact same build right now with the cybernetics core going down. But remember, he is only on 1 gas compared to Kiwikaki's 2 at the moment.
And what's interesting to me is that Kiwikaki is the player who seems to be versatile, who seems to really like utilizing one geyser plays and being aggressive, and HuK is more of the tech-oriented player in this matchup. But it's a funny reversal to see that Kiwikaki is actually the one who has the gas advantage, and it looks like he even waited to put guys in gas. Didn't really need it, just didn't want to get gas blocked himself.
Now, you talked about in Game 1 how it doesn't seem like that probe is chipping away too much at that pylon, but if you go look at the pylon in Kiwikaki's base, he actually got it down to 157 HP. Doesn't seem like much, but if that pylon is going to be focused down later, it's going to have that much less HP to deal with.
And it looks like we have Warp Gate and Hallucination queued up for Kiwikaki. That's very weird that he would queue that Hallucination upgrade up, as that is a waste of 100 minerals at this point and 100 gas. I mean, that's really insanely early to be getting that hallucination. I mean, he has no reason at all to queue that up.
Yeah, that might have been a misclick, but he might just be trying to throw his opponent off someone. I mean, hallucination obviously creates a hallucinated unit, and you can kind of hide your tech in that sense. You can show one thing and actually have another. It looks like we do have 2 stalkers trading some blows there in the middle of the map. HuK's actually going to be the one retreating, as Kiwikaki does get a couple extra shots in.
And it looks like HuK is responding very reasonably by just getting the warp gates first, relying more on zealots and stalkers, avoiding the sentries, avoiding the tech structures, and Kiwikaki again adding on more warp gates of his own. But I'm very, very surprised again at how early he's getting this hallucination. In general, queuing things up is a bad idea in StarCraft 2, because this 100-100 is minerals that could be spent somewhere else. You should wait until the warp gates finish to start that up.
Yeah, he still has not canceled. It looks like the warp gate research is about to finish, and a Stargate is going to be thrown down from HuK.
Now there is a very unorthodox play in this matchup, getting a fast Stargate. Don't know if he's going to be going for Void Rays, where he's going to be relying on Phoenixes to be those little ninja-esque units, but either way, HuK, again, the master of one basing, doing a lot of expensive action here, having 3 gateways and a Stargate out.
And it looks like Kiwikaki is going to go ahead and allow, oh no, there's the cancel on hallucination, so I'm glad he saw that. Definitely wasn't going to see any hallucinated units this early on.
So it looks like that was a misclick by Kiwikaki, very uncharacteristic. He generally has quite smooth hands. Apparently the pressure is kind of getting to him in these later stages. And here is HuK with a Phoenix. What an awesome play. Huge variety here. Yeah,
we do have a robotics facility coming down right now for Kiwikaki, and it looks like both armies are going to meet here in the middle of the map.
And it looks like the stalkers from Kiwikaki are sliding underneath. They're going to be able to come up from behind. And look at this, Kiwikaki target firing the stalkers. If he can take out the stalkers, then he can micro against the zealots easily. And look at that, great control by Kiwikaki. And now it is just all stalkers against zealots, and he is doing an amazing, amazing job. Kiwikaki, again, with the huge pushing with the stalkers, and there's really not that much that HuK can do about it. He needs to get stalkers of his own and defend up this ramp.
Yeah, that was great control. He actually did not get hit once from those zealots, and here we go. Kiwikaki going to try to run up the ramp. Those zealots are going to allow a meat shield there to go ahead and actually repel the attack from Kiwikaki. Does he have anything coming out of that robotics facility? An observer right now. I do not believe any immortals are on the field.
And it looks like that one Phoenix is getting a chance to poke around in the base, and this is going to be very confusing for Kiwikaki. Sometimes players get hallucinate so they can get the Phoenix to do the scout, but instead this is an actual real Phoenix, and Kiwikaki is going to keep trying to push up, but HuK is getting a big army, lots of zealots, lots of stalkers. This Stargate hasn't gotten the chance to do too much more. Oh, look, more Phoenixes coming out for HuK. Very interested to see how these are going to influence his later army mixes.
We talk a lot about nerves here in StarCraft 2 and land jitters. HuK actually had his energy sitting at 100 just a couple seconds ago. He ended up chrono boosting another Phoenix coming out right now. If you go over to Kiwikaki's Nexus, he's sitting at about 40 right now, so nothing too major, but HuK definitely should be utilizing that chrono boost.
And this is a very, very awkward spot right now. For HuK, for Kiwikaki. He's getting a robotics bay, but more Phoenixes are being made. And look at this, this one little observer by Kiwikaki is going to allow him to try to pick off some of these units on the outskirts of the ramp. With these Phoenixes, you have to be careful though, because if one of those stalkers advances a little bit too far forward, it can get lifted up by that graviton shield.
And here comes a nice observer there on that ramp. He's going to be able to snipe some stalkers there. A heavy zealot army right now for HuK, and that's just great use of the observer there, and now he's actually broken up into the ramp. No, he's actually going to retreat back. He's just scouting around right now with that observer.
One Colossus coming out right now for Kiwikaki, but gosh, playing right into HuK's hands. HuK's getting all these Phoenix, and Phoenixes are great against Stalkers. Stalkers' biggest advantage is that they are fast. They can get in there, snipe units, and back out again, but not if they are lifted up in the air. So it looks like HuK is continuing to make Phoenixes. He is just hiding them in the top right side of his base, and oh gosh, Kiwikaki exploiting every little advantage he can, picking picking off these pylons, and and here comes a big force field, and it looks like he's going to lift those up. Oh, what amazing Phoenix usage. 3 free stalkers here right now. It looks like this stalker might have to get lifted again. Yes, there it does indeed get picked back up. Looks like Kiwikaki is in an extremely awkward situation right now.
Yeah, Kiwikaki did not expect that at all. He lost about 4 stalkers there. He was trying to get down that pylon, didn't even get it to all the shields off, and the Colossus is out on the map right now. Nothing else coming out of that robotics facility, but he does have the extended thermal lance being researched right now, about 50% done, and he's actually falling back with his army.
And look at these unit differences. Both of them have about 6 or 7 stalkers, but look at this. HuK with 16 zealots against the 5 zealots of Kiwikaki. Kiwikaki having to back all the way to his main, killing off this forward pylon. All these Phoenixes are going to annihilate that big Colossus if they do get the chance to poke up to it. And also, Phoenixes are way faster than Vikings. They do have the chance to run in there, pick off the Colossus, and right back out again.
HuK is looking around with those Phoenixes, checking to see if his opponent did take down those destructible rocks. Is he going to be lifting any units right here? He does see the fact that Colossus is out on the field. He's actually pushing up the ramp right now. Here comes the big
there's
fight.
The Colossus taking up a huge amount of damage, and there's the Guardian Shield. This Colossus is already down to half-life. There are just way too many zealots here for HuK. Looks like the Colossus is going to go down, and here's the huge mass lift. The stalkers of HuK are doing huge amounts of damage, and there are all these zealots pushing the remaining stalkers back. This Phoenix mix by HuK was an absolute brilliant choice as he was low on gas at the start. And good game. HuK with a very decisive win in that game too.
Now we do have, that's going to put HuK up to 3-2 right now, first to 4, so he has one more win,
game
and
away.
He's going to be the grand champion here at MLG Raleigh.
And I mean, again, I just cannot emphasize how that was totally sweet that he went Phoenixes, because, sorry, I didn't mean to spray you there.
It's all right.
But what's so cool about that is that not only did Phoenixes work so well in the unit mix, obviously lifting up the Stalkers, taking out the Colossus as well, but it was a great choice because HuK had his gas stolen early.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one of the things that I liked from Kiwikaki there. Although it didn't really do anything that big, he definitely made sure that his gas actually wasn't stolen in that game right there. He did have it stolen in the first game on Steps of War. Looks like we are going to be going on to Blistering Sands here in Game 3, actually Game 5 between the two players, but Game 3 of the Grand Finals.
And what I really like a lot about this map, Blistering Sands, that's a little more distance, so that means it's a little bit easier to get an expansion up. Delta Quadrant, I call it the 4-player Steps of War because those spots are so close. Game 1 was Steps of War, which I call Steps of War. It's a very close map, right? Like, this is going to give the chance for Kiwikaki to play a little bit longer of a game and not have to rely too much on these all-in style plays.
All right, guys. Well, here's a little bit of a map preview from Kelly herself.
Blistering Sands is a 2-player map with spawn points at the 2 and 7 o'clock positions. Long distances between each base typically create a longer game. Destructible rocks can be found at alternate entrances into each main base, so generally players place a building to scout oncoming attacks. Natural expansions can be found right down the ramp from the main base, and quite often players will fast expand. Expect to see Protoss users wall off with 2 buildings as the narrow choke allows for it. High yield expansions are at the 11 and 5 o'clock positions with Zilnaga towers in the middle of the map providing sight to any approaching attacks.
So here we have Kiwikaki spawning in the top right position on Blistering Sands as the blue Protoss. If you're in a crowd here, give a cheer to your favorite Canadian Protoss, Kiwikaki. Very good crowd. And of course, HuK in the bottom left as the red Protoss pieces.
And yeah, Blistering Sands, this map does usually favor somewhat of a fast expand build, but really, I think both players, we've seen them do pretty much the one base play every game. Do you think that you might see somewhat of a more economical build in this match?
I think that players will open up generally with some sort of big push, whether it be some sort of 2-gateway robo push or even maybe 3 or 4 gateway. But then there is always the chance to expand a little while after that quite safely. And look, Kiwikaki always checking for cheese. He's one of the most consistent players in this tournament for checking if anything fishy is going on. He will get to his opponent's base a little bit later, but that's not too big of a deal. He's going to make certain that nothing goofy happens. So, yeah, I mean, I would like to see more early expands this game, though. Both
players went ahead and sent out a probe just to make sure that their opponents are not up to anything crazy. Proxy pylons or proxy gateways often occur earlier on this map, and it looks like both players aren't going to be doing anything of that nature, but they have to make sure just in case.
That's right. I mean, on this map, there's especially a lot of places to hide. You can hide it on the left side of your main plateau, behind the natural expansion, down here by the gold, anywhere around this Xel'Naga watchtower. So very good by Kiwikaki to spot all those places. Kiwikaki throwing down another very late gateway. Nothing wrong with that. He's focusing more on probes early on. HuK getting a little bit earlier of a gateway himself, and as usual, chrono boosting his probes as much as he can.
Looks like gas going down for both players, so we're not going to see any crazy cheese with a 3-gate zone. Actually, Kiwikaki getting stuck there with his probe. Clicking on the minerals allows him, and there's the gas still.
I'm not sure if I necessarily like this or not, because HuK is just playing so well against this, and HuK's saying, no, that is a good idea. I'm going to steal your gas too. So both players, again, doing this very low on gas play, high on minerals, which could lead to an early expand.
Indeed, we'll have to see exactly what players are going to be up to, as both players have stolen the gas. There goes the Cybernetics core for Kiwikaki. Is HuK going to be throwing it down anytime soon? Looks like he's saving up the minerals for it, and Kiwikaki actually doing a little bit of harassment on HuK, trying to stop that Cybernetics core from going down, but HuK does go ahead and get it down.
And it looks like this pylon's a little bit late for Kiwikaki, as he is getting supply blocked. That Cybernetics core is, of course, en route very fast. Second gateway by Kiwikaki, letting his plans be known. HuK hasn't built a second gateway himself yet. And, ooh, there's 2 in gas for HuK. That's a little bit weird of a choice. And by weird of a choice, I mean that's a mistake. Okay, there's 3 in gas finally going on. It looks like we have a pretty mirror match going on from both players at this point.
Yeah, HuK might just be a little bit nervous. Here comes the Stalker coming out for Kiwikaki right now. Some probes there on the trail there with Kiwikaki's right behind HuK's. And do we have a Stalker coming out for HuK? Yes, we do. And another gateway has been thrown down. Up to 3 gates for HuK, and Kiwikaki only on 2 right now.
And we haven't seen that, yeah, like you said, that third gateway from Kiwikaki is nowhere to be found. He's spending it on a little bit more expensive units of the Stalker, wants to be able to deal with any sort of Zealot pressure early on. HuK also getting many of some Stalkers himself. We do see these 2 probes from Kiwikaki are now retreating to these 2 Xel'Naga watchtowers. So smart to keep that spotting up. And both players are also chrono boosting their warp gates. Nothing too out of the ordinary right now, but already, because those warp gates make units so quickly, you need to be very careful to defend your ramp.
Yeah, Kiwikaki actually chrono boosting his probes instead of that research of the warp gate, so he's trying to get more probes than his opponent, obviously. And HuK is actually going to be chrono boosting the warp gate still. So let's go into the income tab. Looks like Kiwikaki a little bit ahead right now in the harvester count. Doesn't make too much, but it's all the subtle things here in StarCraft.
Yeah, and you know what I love a lot about this game already is the difference between the 2 players. Expenditure of money, more Zealots and Sentries coming out for HuK, and more Stalkers coming out for Kiwikaki. I mean, if your control is as good as Kiwikaki's, that's what you should be doing. I mean, he has absolute pristine control with those Stalkers, and they are extremely fast units. Look, already moving away from the gas as he's killing it off. And there's 2 more gateways from Kiwikaki. I love this aggressive 4-gate style, but with this mix that HuK is going for, I think he's going to be in good shape being able to defend against it.
Kiwikaki did send those 3 Stalkers out into the left of his main. He's scouting for any sneaky play from his fellow Canadian player, HuK, and looks like HuK is actually going for somewhat of a similar build right now. He does have 4 gates, excuse me, and he's going ahead and getting his second gas. We only have 3 gates right now, 4 gates for Kiwikaki as well, so both players going for a 4-gate build, and Kiwikaki does have this forward pylon, so he might be the aggressor right now.
Kiwikaki is going to have a little bit of a window because these 4 gateways were finished long before his opponents, and oh yes, indeed, Kiwikaki loves having more aggressive opportunities, killing off these back-destructible rocks. HuK does have a pylon here. I don't know if he sees going to the HuK cam. He would have to be actively looking down there as there's nothing on the minimap, but yes, there's a sentry getting warped in, wants to be able to throw down force fields if at all necessary, but oh, never leave your front ramp abandoned. That is so dangerous. What makes this map so difficult is this destructible rock in the back, but people tend to forget about their front door.
Yeah, this is one of those maps where if the aggressor is taking down those destructible rocks, he can easily pop back over into that natural expansion and go up that ramp, and then just pop back right into your main. So you definitely have to be careful. HuK keeping his Stalkers in the front to get the attack before the units can actually go up the ramp, because remember, in StarCraft 2, high ground does have the advantage.
Yeah, and I do want to note that neither player is making probes at this point. Kiwikaki now moving up, able to snipe down one of those Stalkers, and oh, getting trapped. Oh, this is going to be a Stalker massacre. HuK morphing in more units. This is a terrible position for Kiwikaki to be in. And another force field gets thrown down. Kiwikaki's food has plummeted with that in play, and that is why it is dangerous to get stalkers in tight places.
Indeed, Kiwikaki was a little bit flustered right there. He went ahead and actually attacking one of his stalkers with all of his own. Didn't actually kill it, but definitely showing the fact that that was not a nice force field to be on the opposite end of. And HuK is actually going for a nice counterattack here. Is he going to start taking out these rocks of his opponent? Yes, he is.
And it looks like the gas has not yet been retaken by Kiwikaki. That means that he will not have enough sentries to repair. Pellets plus force fields are so tough to deal with. He is annihilating these destructible rocks so quickly, and this is going to be almost impossible for Kiwikaki to hold off.
And while all this is going on, HuK has gone ahead and thrown down a robotics facility, and here comes HuK pushing into the main of Kiwikaki. Kiwikaki is definitely going to be in a tough spot right now, even pulling probes for this
pulling
fight.
Probes off. Now it looks like Kiwikaki has a slightly bigger base army mix, but look at those force fields doing so much damage, and HuK has an insanely high zealot count. All the zealots of Kiwikaki are just evaporating, and Kiwikaki is slowly falling behind on the stalker count as well. HuK pushing in to do, it looks like the final blow. HuK currently up 3-2, could take the championship with this push right here, killing off all the stalkers no matter how much micro you have.
And GG.
Not going to be enough. HuK winning that series decisively.
And HuK is the grand champion here at MLG Raleigh. Let's give another round of applause for our champion, HuK.
And there he is standing up on the right. He played an amazing tournament, came straight through the winner's bracket, defeated Kiwikaki in the winner's bracket finals, and then in the grand finals managed to take the series very, very convincingly. He's really definitely stepped up his play from the tournaments we've recently seen, absolutely exploiting more, expanding different tech patterns. The Phoenixes in Game 2 today were very awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, like we said earlier, he went to a tournament last weekend, didn't make it out of the group play, comes to this tournament, 1 week turnaround, wins the whole thing. So, I mean, it just proves the fact that that's what it takes to be a pro player. You recognize what happened in that tournament, and you fix it in under a week. I mean, he probably played a ton of games to work on his play.
Yeah, and even in the Razor King of the Beta tournament hosted by this guy, I mean, what was amazing is that HuK did get eliminated almost immediately in that tournament. He was 0-3 in his group, went 1-2 with all his opponents, and when I spoke to him, he was more motivated than ever. He's the sort of player that anything but first place drives him to play harder and harder and harder. So that definitely showed through today.
Now, kind of looking back, looking at the tournament as a whole, did you have any kind of major upsets in your eyes or anything that you would like to recap on before we wrap things up?
Well, there's a few notable good Terran players who were performing beautifully in the winner's bracket, and they lost their series in the winner's bracket, and in the very next round in their loser's bracket game just plummeted out of the tournament. Chthon Luck and QXC both are two examples of that. Chthon Luck was playing just great in all his tournament games, barely lost to HuK, just so close that series was, but you know, then he immediately went to the loser's bracket and he was gone. It was kind of startling to see a player of that caliber go out that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things here at MLG Raleigh. We had a ton of great players.
Yeah.
And while we weren't able to bring you guys every single match out there, in that upper bracket, when it got down to the semifinals, it was insane. But we're going to be back here with our prize presentation and a final breakdown of the tournament here in MLG Raleigh.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am Sean Day9 Plot, joined here by our grand champion of the MLG StarCraft 2 tournament, HuK. HuK, how are you feeling right now?
Short.
That's right, I am indeed gigantic here by this champion. Now tell us a little bit about how the final series went. I would say that your winner's bracket games were a little bit closer with Kiwikaki, but what was the big change that happened in between that series and the final one?
After he took the first game off me, I was actually really worried because he's a strong player, and once he gets momentum, it just seems like he gets stronger and stronger, and his stalker micro is beautiful. I mean, really, really great. After the Phoenix game, I felt pretty strong. Shout out to Noni for teaching me that. I mean, it was great, and it was one of those not so popular PvP strategies, so after pulling that off, I felt like I could probably close the deal. But yeah, it feels great.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were really impressed by those Phoenixes, how they were able to take out the Colossus, and especially with some of those great Stalker lifts. Now, in the course of going through this tournament, we know that you didn't lose any of the game going through the winner's bracket. Did that help your mental state at all? What sort of focus were you in going through the tournament?
I was really focused at MLG. It was great. I mean, the hoodie helps. I know I'm probably going to be infamous for that. just trying to zone out everybody. And MLG set up different from ESL. ESL, you had the crowd like right behind the computer. Here, it's kind of, you know, player section and then audience. So it helped a lot just to be, you know, not so many spectators. And yeah, it was great. I felt really focused.
So what was perhaps your most memorable round going into this tournament? And what was the hardest fight you had to overcome where you thought that you might be knocked down to the loser's bracket?
Probably against HuK. I would say against HuK. We go pretty even TVPs and ladder and tournaments and stuff like that. He has a really good fast expo build that I always have trouble with. I still don't know 100% how to counter it. I mean, I know he's doing it, but it's like, I don't know what to do. Like, it's so safe, so standard. I really felt like I could lose that, especially going down 1-0, and it was like a really, really close, tough game the first game. So, yeah, that was my hardest match, I would say. And the most memorable, I would say Kiwikaki. Sorry, second part, yeah.
Indeed, of course, it would be memorable to win the whole tournament, so I definitely agree with your decision there. So, of course, since we're going to be signing out here at MLG StarCraft 2, do you have any shout-outs? You're allowed to be as profuse as you want because you are the champion.
Do you want me to hold the mic? Because it's going to be like 10 minutes. It's going to be longer than the
I hold the mic.
Okay. Family, friends, all the fans here at MLG, they've been great. All the players have been great too. My team Millennium, our sponsors, Winamax, whatever, this back, I don't know. You guys look, you guys know. My family, my dad, my Pepere, I don't know how to say it. Those guys do because I'm not really French. I don't know, man. Reborn, old clans now. Next, Keeper, JF, I don't know. Everybody, I love you guys all. Thanks for watching and supporting me.
Well, big thanks to HuK for that extensive list. He is our champion today with amazing, solid Protoss play in all 3 matchups throughout the tournament. I'm Sean Day9 Plow. I have to do a few thanks, of course, to HD, Husky, and JP, the glorious and suave co-casters.
Oh, wait. Teal. Shout out to Teal. TeamLiquid.net.
TeamLiquid.net, of course, all I have to do is splay my jacket open and stretched across my chest are some of his shout-outs. So big thanks to TeamLiquid.net, all the fine folks at Reddit, GhostOfGamers.net, MLG Pro, and GotFrag for helping organize this great tournament. And without any further ado, we're going to be going directly into the WoW tournament with Van Silly and V Hill, so definitely stay tuned for all your PC gaming needs. I'm Sean Day9 Plot, signing out.